welcome.
And welcome to Smash Riding. Sorry, headphone listeners.
We are your hosts for today. I'm Paul.
I am unknown.
Justin.
No liar, don't tell them lies.
And today, we are reviewing the film Fear Street 1994.
Okay, speak and spell. Part one of Fear Street, something that I went in completely blind on. I didn't watch any trailers, didn't look up any information, didn't even read the books as a kid. So I went in completely blind. All I knew was that R.L. Stine wrote these books.
Which he did at the same time from his Goosebumps. I was always into Goosebumps. I didn't really know about Fear Street.
Yeah, I was big into Goosebumps, but I didn't touch Fear Street for some reason.
I didn't either. I thought, actually, at first I thought Fear Street, somebody just copied it. Then I realized, oh crap, it's the same writer, so it wasn't copied. But I didn't read the books either. So I actually did not even know Netflix was doing this film series until literally a week before the first film came out. I did see the trailers, but once again, I didn't know anything about this film series. So obviously, the title Fear Street 1994 tells you when it takes place.
Yeah, it takes place in 1994, and then the sequels coming. We'll talk about all that later.
Yeah.
But this tells the story of the curse of Shadyside, and its name was Sunnyvale. Shadyside had been cursed by a witch called Seraphir hundreds of years before, and it pretty much means that Shadyside is this doom and gloom and mass murderers and all that fun jazz.
Yeah, and they reference it as the Shadyside as being the capital murder of the world, because there's just obviously going back hundreds of years, there's been not only just a murder, but it's been massacres.
Yeah, there's massacres, there's serial killers, there's...
Yeah.
This one picks up at a mall with Heather working on a mall, and it's closing time.
Yeah, this is opening scenes.
Yeah, the opening scenes. And it picks up when you get Heather and all them, and they're attacked by a guy wearing a skull mask, and you find out, they have a real nice homage to Scream with her running and him right behind her, stabbing her right in the back. And you find out that it was her friend who worked at the other store.
Who was actually just hanging out with her.
Yeah, a friendly, weirdo guy kind of deal.
Yeah, and they were just supposed to go out and have a drink or a late night date.
But she was taking him home. She was taking her home.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, really. You just watched it yesterday.
I thought that, he wanted to do more.
Well, he probably did. He was also carrying a blow-up doll. What do you want?
Right. So, but for...
it ends with Heather being stabbed multiple times, and she pulls the mask off, and you see him, and he gets shot by Sheriff Nick Good.
Pop them right in the head.
Then you get a little title opening sequence of dictating the fates and what's been going on in Sunnyvale and Shadyside.
Yeah. Now, it explains that this was once one town called Union.
Yeah.
Village, or I don't know what.
Union, and it's split.
And the good, classy side is Sunnyvale.
Oh, I wouldn't say classy. None of these people are classy.
The rich side.
The rich side.
We'll go with the rich side.
The more prosperous side. There are very few people you can get behind in this movie.
That is true. But then of course you got the shady side on the other side.
And that's where the tragedies happen. And,
yeah.
We meet up with, at the end of this whole little montage thing, we meet up with Dina, the character we will be following for the remainder of the movie.
Right.
And she's going through a bad breakup and everything's got her down, and then you get the death of one of her classmates. You go to school, and you get this tribute to Heather. Well, you also meet Dina's brother, Josh.
Yep.
Who's instant messaging. I almost said tweeting.
Yeah,
this is the wrong decade. The instant AOL messenger.
Instant messenger. Oh my! I will say this one had the detail of the '90s was such a callback. I remember doing AOL as well.
I didn't. I went outside as a kid. What do you want?
We came. Well, no, it was all of my friends. When we were done hanging out, instead of texting.
If I wasn't hanging out with you, I didn't want to talk to you.
It was just a bunch of callbacks. I mean,
yeah, but anyway.
I came in towards the end of AOL, but whatever.
Well, you see the little homage at Heather's locker.
Yep.
And a bunch of strange people. Well, to say the least. Like, you meet her friends Kate and Simon, and they're all in the women's bathroom painting the walls.
Simon, you don't know really how. Simon's just like a.
I was glad to see. I was glad to see Simon die, because he actively annoyed me for most of this movie.
He really did. Then there was Kate, the drug dealer.
Yeah, like she's classified like Victorian. She's dealing drugs. I got some surprise though. Yeah. But like the way they were treating, like, and then you had the one idiot running around with like the dummy dressed up like Heather with the knife in the back. Like, dude, in my school, he would have got his ass beat by Heather's friends, just like right there in the hallway.
That is so true.
But you jump ahead, and she goes to the football game for the band and everything because she's a member of the band.
She was a band, but she wanted to quit because I guess the breakup with Sam. Which, the lesbian storyline actually took me off guard because it was 94 that time. It really wasn't. Well,
you kind of did have Sam like trying to hide that, but
yeah. But like in the opening when Danita was saying, "I hate you, Sam," we all. I don't know about you, but I assumed it was like Samuel, like a guy.
I assume nothing. I just watched the movie.
That is true.
As when you start assuming things at the beginning of the movie, that's when you tend to let yourself down.
That is true. So then
you find out that they broke up because Sam used to live in Shadyside and they were dating, and Dina broke up with Sam when she moved.
Yeah.
And you had a big argument between the two of them because like Sam's now hooked up with a guy on the football team, and that's pissed her off. Like, she's accusing her of just hiding who she really is and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And not being doom and gloom like she is of being Shadyside.
Yeah, she was trying to be yeah.
And a fight breaks out during the Candlelight Memorial.
Not just like a pushing. They start throwing
haymakers. This was a brawl. Because this Sunnyvale guy said that it's not a tragedy if it happens all the time.
Yeah, right.
They're like, oh, well, what? And then the fight broke out. Like,
the funny thing is, like, there are always rivalries towards local towns with football teams, because definitely in Western PA, where we're based out of, football is God's game.
I don't care.
But even then, like, when you have a visual, like, they don't start duking it out.
It really hypes up how much these two towns don't like each other.
Yeah. Even though they were one.
It carries on, like, on the bus. It goes from the big brawl to the bus.
The bus scene.
And they are screaming about how they're going to Sunnyvale for murder.
Yeah.
Way to prove them wrong, guys. Way to prove them wrong. But while they're chanting murder, Peter, Sam, and some other guy.
Yeah, from Sunnyvale.
They drive up on the bus and start throwing things at the bus.
Yeah, the guy starts throwing stuff. So Dina, she
throws a Kohler out of the window when she sees it's Sam in the car and gets pissed off. Well, she wants to do it and like has a moment of hesitation, but she freaks out when she gets a nosebleed, and it leads to the car crashing.
Yes.
And Sam gets out and her nose is bleeding and she bleeds on the ground, which is where we find out later that Sarah Fier is buried, and her bleeding on the corpse disturbs the body, and we got to talk about that later. But That's the point where we're going, is her bleeding on the corpse was bad. And it starts, and Sarah Fier starts sending monsters.
Dina have nosebleeds?
Because when we find out in the sequel that when she's around, blood will fall. So anytime that you're around the body, somebody will tend to start bleeding.
Okay.
We don't find that out till the sequel. So.
But Sam, because she touched the body,
because she didn't touch it, because she bled on the body.
Okay.
We gotta talk about that later.
Still aggravates you.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't aggravate me, but it's like, But anyway, that night we start seeing the Skull Mask Killer again. And they think it's Peter fucking with them again because he threatened to kill them again.
Such violence.
All of the violence. I don't. But
they end up finding out that
the monster was like hunting the two of them Kate and Simon and Dina. And it actually goes into the house of Kate and Sam are babysitting and is like smelling the shirt that Simon was wearing because for some reason Simon's still wearing the blood-soaked shirt.
Because he's such a weird dude.
Just don't understand.
Don't understand.
Later.
Justin's over here making hand movements as if this is on our YouTube channel. This is the plot. They can't see that.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's for me. But they now can picture it in their head because you screamed about it. You blasted the headphone users for no reason. But you get to the hospital, and Dina confronts Sam over Peter fucking with him, but you find out immediately that he's not because the Skullface Killer shows up and stabs Peter in the back. And they find out that it's still Logan. Logan, I believe that's his name, right?
The skull.
The first Skull Killer who gets shot in the head.
That's Ryan. His name's Ryan.
Ryan, not Logan. Ryan. And it's still him with the gunshot wound and everything. And then you start seeing the other people who were killed but were the killers of Sarah Fiera coming up, and they track it down to the fact that Sam bled on the bones.
Yeah.
So they start trying to scramble to figure out how to break this curse.
And first point you don't really understand because you're like, well, everybody else is getting killed or they're chasing too. But there's the one scene where they're finding Sarah's body.
They dug up the body, put it at rest, and you see the hatchet, the camp killer, I guess you can call him, come charging in, and he blows by Josh and goes right for Sam.
So then they eventually learn that if you have Sam's blood on you, or you stop them from getting to Sam, they'll kill you. But if you're walking down the street, they'll leave
you alone. They're looking for Sam.
And I guess they see. I guess it's only the scent, or they don't see with their eyes because they're dead. So
they're driven by the blood of Sam.
Yeah.
But at the very end of this, they put it together that through somebody else surviving from a news article, C. Berman, that if Sam were to die and then be resurrected again, that would end the curse. So they do manage to do that while Kate and Simon meet their grateful demise. But it doesn't actually work. And as C. Berman is breaking the news of that to Dina, the witch possesses and takes over the mind of Sam. And now it ends on the note of how are they going to save Sam.
And that's right. So that was the story of Fair Street 1990.
Very loosely broken. There's a ton we have not covered.
Well, we're not here to tell you the whole screenplay.
Just ruin the ending for you.
Yeah, there you go. So, now it's what you thought of it.
I thought this was really great. This was a lot of fun. The horror was top-notch quality. And, the gore especially.
Yeah.
Oh, Kate's head going through the bread maker was one of my favorite kills of all time. Just gruesome. Simon was probably a feel-good kill when he got the hatchet to the head.
Yeah, I appreciated that he was gone.
Ruby Lane.
She
was terrifying.
Yeah.
With the switchblade and the songs and just look of her, she was great.
I think you touched upon the highlights.
Dina had a really good redemption arc in a way. Because at the beginning of this movie, I just fucking kill him.
You wanted to be the first victim out of it.
I wouldn't say first victim, but I really didn't care. Just doom and gloom, and she really did feel like she was dragging everyone down with her. But she does have a really good redemption arc where her and Sam both really do they confront the fact that they're not being true to themselves.
Right. I appreciate the gore. I love the callback. It did feel like such a 90s.
Yeah, they really depicted the 90s well.
Film pretty good too. They did everything right. And it's shocker that Fair Street series is a preteen novel series, and they made this R-rated.
Yeah, I love that. I
think people are just going to start going and buy the books now.
Because you know what, and that makes perfect sense because the kids who grew up on Fear Street are now adults. So tailor it to them now.
Yeah.
And not tailor to what they once were.
Right, because I mean, if you're a horror fan, you were growing up hearing blood and guts, but the Goosebumps, the Fear Street novels, before you got into like my favorites were Stephen King and Dean Koontz, you had to start somewhere. I started with R.L.
R.L. Stein's Goosebumps.
And it transitioned to bigger horror
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, R.L. Stein, but again, like stuff like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but that's
Right.
a review.
So it was a fun callback. The gore, the whole slasher.
Oh, the atmosphere of this too was really great. I love the settings. I love the backdrops.
Right.
I like the fact that it didn't end with Sam dying, but it ended on that cliff note of her being tied up and just deranged. Like, oh, what's happening
on
next?
The radiator in the bathroom.
Yeah. So that came next.
So I thought, I mean, it didn't really have too much big jump scares. I mean, it had a storytelling feel to it. I'm giving it a...
Well, we're not up to there yet.
What's that?
We're not up to there yet. We still got some stuff to talk about with this movie.
Yes, go ahead and discuss, I guess, the negatives you want to say?
I guess. Like, these are very soft negatives. These are just, like, little nitpicks here and there and some stuff that can actually, like, threaten to unglue everything.
And you're
disturbing the body. She bled on the body. Okay, that disturbed the witch. Wouldn't it disturb the witch also in the fact that they're all, like, grabbing the body and, like, wrapping it up in a coat? Like, I get what they were trying to do was, like, lay it to rest. But you're really disturbing the body here. Like, maybe you yanked it out of the ground at one point.
I think because Sam was the first to touch it.
Yeah.
And her arc.
And I guess, like, touching the body's okay, but bleeding is the no-no.
I guess. I mean, that would be the only logical reason to explain that.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm still trying to figure out was, and maybe we'll hear this down the road with the third one, how did Ryan get possessed? Obviously...
Well, the name's on the board. As long as your name's on the board. We'll talk more about that in the sequel, but as long as your name's on the wall, she can possess you.
Right, but how did his name even get to that point?
She just puts your name on the board.
She picks and chooses.
Then we'll talk more about that in the sequel.
Okay. Now go on to your next... You didn't like the music.
No, stop it. The next one's getting points off. Because, God damn. The music is fine. Too much music was the problem. Like, you were going from one song to the next song to the next song. It's like, you don't need music for some of these scenes. Just let the background noise be the ambient. Let background noise be background noise. It is jarring. Like, calm it down.
And we'll see that trend continue.
Yes, we do.
Yep. Now, but were those the only two negatives you honestly could say about this?
Well, like, none of the characters, like, for a while, the only character I cared about was Sam. Like, kill the rest of them, save Sam.
I was behind Josh. Josh was, because he embodied the 90s nerd stereotype. I appreciate, like, he was the problem solver because he just nerded his stuff out.
Yeah, because he had so much. He was the big brain of the organizations. He had everything on the board.
Yeah.
At the same time, I didn't care. Like, I know, like, kill them all, but Sam, come on. She's the only one who hasn't really done anything.
And it's funny because at first with Sam, I was against her.
It did change, though, because Dina did have a really good, like, redemption arc. And, like, she was, like, just... And she was the one who broke up with Sam but blamed Sam.
Yeah.
And I can get why, like, it's not good, like, if you're in that kind of relationship. Obviously, I can't speak on it. But, like, you want to be with this... She wants to be with this girl she loves, but the girl is not really coming out or anything, so...
And then they also blame on the movie. 30-minute drive.
She moved, yeah, like a half hour. It's like, that's not that far.
Like, as teenagers, though, a half-hour drive was, like, too far. As an adult, yeah, like, when you got your car and you could drive, but as, like, a 16, 17-year-old, that was a drive.
Not really, but okay, we'll push on. But But Deanna did she really did grow on me by the end of the movie. Like I really did love her portrayal. I thought Kiana Madeira was fantastic. She portrayed Deanna so well. Olivia Scott Welch also as Sam. Like I said, I really got behind Sam. Really liked the character. And Ashley Zuckerman is Sheriff Nick Good. We'll talk more about him in the next one, but he's an interesting character. Like, there's a lot going on with him.
The Goods are an interesting character.
Yeah.
I mean, because we'll talk about that later. But so overall, give it your rating.
A.
A.
Maybe Oh. A plus.
I am going to give it.
I mean, even with all the little flaws and nitpicky things I can say about it, A plus.
I'm giving it 95, so I'll say probably a top line A. The only things I didn't really appreciate was, the music.
The music just got annoying.
Yeah, too much was too much. The little plot holes that now you're, like I said, you're nitpicking to get to talk about them. But other than that, I thought it, for the most part, 95. I mean,
this was solid. Solid acting, great story, excellent.
And the fact
ending
that you
catches you, what's going on?
The fact that you took a preteen novel series and catered it to the audience, because we read them as kids. Goosebumps, Art Fear Street. You read them as kids, but we're not kids anymore.
Yeah, and they tailored it to the audience, all of it,
and that was a positive thing.
A lot of love and attention went into the script,
and a crazy thing,
a lot of love, care.
The details of the set, the production value for this film. There's a lot of films that have been released on streaming. They've been bought by the streaming services. This was produced from Netflix and for Netflix and solid on the production value.
Yeah.
And that was something that if you're going to make a big deal out of this, which they are, you need it you need to put all your.
This honestly feels like the start of a big event, and I love it, and I want more of it.
Well, we shall see. But until next time.
Bye-bye.